Hello, everybody, and welcome to Simply Sassos Real Estate 101. I'm your host, Rob Sassos. Today's topic, the good, the bad, the profitable, the do's and don'ts of real estate investing and flipping homes. And we have the good fortune of having Danny Smith here with Distinctive Builders. Danny, thanks for joining us today.
No problem, bro.
Danny, for the audience, could you tell us a little bit about you and Distinctive Builders? Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I've been a GC for about 13, 14 years. Started the company in 2006. Did primarily residential when I first started out, and now we've gotten into commercial, hotel remodels, build outs for commercial spaces, and then on the residential side, investment based, flipping, remodels, additions. We've done new construction too for investors. So a little bit of everything, but we're trying to specialize on the investment side on the residential, and then commercial more, hotel side.
Okay. And how long have you been in the business?
Since 2006.
2006. Okay, so a long time now. So you've seen the good and the bad and the profitable.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got some questions for you. What I wanted to talk about really is, this isn't for the savvy investor. This is more for the people that are looking to get involved in flipping homes, investing in real estate. And I wanted to speak with you about, it's fine, you can go to DIY, you can go to all those fancy channels, Property Brothers, whoever, that's a free plug, Property Brothers. And you can see how wonderful and great everything is, but you don't see the behind the scenes. So I wanted to get you and Distinctive Builders, as a general contractor, to tell us the behind the scenes type of stuff, that what people can expect.
Right.
So from a GC, a general contractor's perspective, what characteristics makes a great investor?
Well, somebody that's done some research, it sounds so silly to say, but when you go to buy the property, you really need to do some background on the property and make sure that, it has the services that you're going to need in order to make the flip happen. And that's as simple as we had a property that an investor wanted an added master bathroom to, and it was on a septic system. So the septic system was, too small for that, and that wasn't something that they had looked into. So that's a $15,000 to $20,000 addition to that remodel or flip. So it's just doing their due diligence during the purchase of the property before, and really, walking in the property. This is what I want to do. Is it able to handle what I want to do to it?
Okay. So essentially, if you fail to plan to fail. Know what you're getting into before you get into it.
Right.
So, okay, we bought the house, and obviously with investments, you're looking at the potential of a property typically as opposed to what it currently is. So what would you say, again, high level estimate, swag, what margin should an investor allow for improvements and repairs? In terms of the purchase price and a percentage of that?
I would say 20, 25.
20 to 25%?
Yeah. I think that's a good margin, especially if you're trying to stay within the envelope. If you're not doing additions, if you're not doing anything adding square footage, that 20% is very doable within the building envelope. Then you can stay with your aesthetics, and you can stay with just kind of refreshing or reflashing the house, making it updated look. But it really just comes down to the type of finishes you pick out too also. So.
Okay, so that kind of segues into my next question. What is the best and the worst money spent on, based on your experience? What have you seen that, okay, this makes sense, this is typically what you should invest in, and then the worst being, what are you doing?
Right. Well, the best money, I think, is definitely like floors, paint. That seems super obvious, but it really does make a difference. And also, those materials bring that new home smell right away. So, that's easy money to spend. It's fairly affordable, especially the vast majority of materials that are available for purchase. So your budget can be from really cheap all the way up to extremely expensive. So it gives you a lot of versatility with the budget. And then on top of that, keeping everything where it's at, meaning plumbing and electrical, but then redoing the cabinets, the countertops of the kitchens. I think that's really, really a big deal right now. Even more so, I think, than the bathrooms. The bathrooms can use it, but most bathrooms that I'm seeing now are pretty up to date in their design. I haven't really, unless you got an older 50s or 60s house, but the ones that were built in the 90s or early 2000s, they're doable, and nobody's really saying anything except doing the flooring or adding the paint. So the kitchens are the best. And as far as worst money, I would say going outside your building envelope.
Okay.
So if you're doing an addition, if you're doing an addition, a lot of investors don't realize they're looking at it as, I'm adding square footage. If I'm adding square footage, I'm adding money to the property. If I'm adding money, I make money. But the problem becomes, it's usually 3 times the amount to do an addition, because I have to build it like it's a brand new home, and I have to build it to today's codes too also.
Right. So
I'm doing footers, I'm doing concrete slabs, I'm doing framing, I'm doing whole building envelope. So I'm basically building a house. So if we're at a 100 square foot bathroom, I'm charging you $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for that addition. Are you getting that money back? A lot of investors don't realize that, because they're like, this house needs a new master bathroom. So just evaluate, make sure that you can get that money out of that addition. I always try to tell the investors, let's stay within the envelope. They don't have to mess with the trusses. I don't have to mess with the roof. I don't have to mess with any of that.
Right.
It helps with permitting too. Once you're inside the building envelope, a lot of those can be walk-through permits. I was just down at a building department today, actually, and went in there and told them what we were doing, and they were like, it's a walk-through permit. Just get me a drawing in the kitchen where you're doing the kitchen cabinets, and I'll give you a permit the same day. If I'm doing an addition, that's 3 months. It's a month for the drawings and 2 months for the building permit.
Yeah, it's almost once you start extending beyond the actual structure of the home, you're potentially opening Pandora's box, and you're
Correct.
definitely going down the rabbit hole.
Right.
Because lot size, community restrictions, are there gopher turtles on that side of the property, flood zone, anything else. There could be a number of things that could be involved. Water, anything.
Right.
Involved. So you're really opening Pandora's box when you do that.
Yeah, when we've seen it all, come up, setbacks are like what you're saying, the property. I mean, the property might not even be able to handle it. Meaning, like, it looks like you have a big lot, but if the community says that you have a 25-foot setback off the back, 10-foot setbacks on the sides, all of a sudden your lot just got a lot smaller. The house might actually be positioned in the exact place it can be built. So.
Okay, so moving on from that, now let's put some steak to the sizzle. What are some things that investors never consider but should? You got all these reality shows on flipping homes and everything else,
right.
And you don't see what's really going on. Number one, people, just to let you know, a lot of those houses aren't even really flips.
Right.
A lot of those houses are pretty much bought the way they resell them. I'm just letting you know because I know of one of those houses that actually happened to. But you don't see everything going on. It doesn't take 30 minutes for them to flip a house.
Right.
Okay, you might watch that show, but it doesn't. So what are some things investors never consider or haven't even realized they should consider?
Well, I would say the first thing is the permitting or building process. Number one, permitting. Let's go with that. The timeline for permitting is just, everybody's so shocked about how long it takes. But the easiest comparison is everybody knows about the DMV. Well, the building department's not much better than the DMV. So if you can imagine what you have to do in order to get something done at the DMV, well, the building department is 3 months of that. So if we have to go into the building department, if we're not doing a walkthrough, if we're doing standalone permits for anything, repiping the house, running new electrical, like replacing the electrical panel because it's just too old, If we're doing HVAC work where we have to redo the ductwork or even taking out the units, we have to give them calculations for that, prove that unit can handle the square footage. So there's just a lot of things, and they get upset about the time that it takes. Most investors or new investors want to buy the house and they want to start the very next day. They want to find somebody like me and they expect me to show up the next day and start working. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunately not like that.
So what's your experience in terms of time frame on a vanilla flip?
If it's a walkthrough permit, then, for me, I would say that, just the negotiation, the contract, the scope of work, me finding the subcontractors in order to do the work, it's a month. Ends up taking about 2 to 4 weeks to get all that organized.
Just to get started.
Yeah. Just to make sure that myself and the investor are on the same page. The contract between myself and the investor is taken care of. And then myself hiring the subcontractors that I'm going to need in order to do what they're asking me to do. So it's just a lot of coordination. And then that also gives me the time to schedule the project outright. Not just call somebody on my phone and say, can you get out here and start tomorrow? Because even if I get that guy to do that, he's there tomorrow, but he'll probably be gone for the next 2 weeks because he's got other jobs going on. So scheduling the job right, making sure that everybody is going to pay attention to that job in the manner that they should, where it's continuous work, takes about a month.
Right. Okay. And one thing we should also factor in is the municipality. Right. I mean, there's generalities of in terms of the permit process.
Right.
But Orange County might be different than Osceola, might be 100%. Different than the city of Maitland and the city of Orlando. Are you in city limits? Are you not in city limits?
Right.
Those are big things you need to understand. Are you in a historic district? Are you not in a historic district? All those things, one, adds money and adds time.
Correct.
So when we say that it takes a month, Danny's just talking about getting everything in place. So it's going to be months to do a flip. Mm-hmm. So, and it depends, again, location, style, size, all of that goes into consideration. So if you're thinking about investing, you've got to factor in that spend. Mm-hmm. Because especially if you're financing or you're pulling equity somewhere else that has an interest rate, you have to realize you got to include that payment and you're not getting anything back. So you have to factor all that in, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you want to make sure that you're taken care of during that time, meaning that you have the money to spend during that time. Because one of the things that we get pushed on is that they say, I'm making a monthly payment here. I got to get this done. You know? So it's like that's a hindrance, in my opinion, to put pressure on me, because then I have to find the guys, and that could cost more money, but a lot of times I still have to stay within the budget. So it's like you're pushing me to do the project faster because you're making this monthly payment, but you're really not benefiting yourself because the project just gets out of control real fast if it's not scheduled properly. So
yeah, you can go down a money pit, or you can lose quality.
Right.
You lose quality, trust me, your buyer's going to notice.
Right.
I can just tell you from experience, walking in, I can tell right away from a bad flip to a good flip.
Right.
I can just look in the corners, just look above your head, and you can see where corners were cut, where people decided that it just was smarter for them to do it themselves because they saw it on TV or there's a YouTube video on it. Trust me, you don't want to do that. So I guess we can wrap it up with, and we kind of already did, but what should an investor have in place before buying a house? It's a plan.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's a GC, right? I mean, you should have, if you're investing and you're getting involved with a GC, then that should be part of your research, right?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend interviewing GCs before you even pick a property. A GC like myself that's looking to do business with investors actually appreciates that, because we can take the opportunity. If you say to us like, hey, we're going to partner up with you, I just got to find the right property. Perfect. That's all I need to hear before they even find a property. Because if you looked at me and said, I'm going to use you to do my flipping, then that's all I need to hear. You can call me and say, hey, come over here and look at this property. I want you to see it and see if you see something I'm not seeing. Or we could talk about the design, what do you think about this master bathroom?
Mm-hmm.
You know, is this good enough, or do you think that we need to update it? And then we can talk about costs, because I can take quick measurements real quick and, you know, and give you a square footage price that's going to be ballpark, and that'll at least like say, okay, he's saying that the bathroom is going to cost me $10,000. You know, do I want to spend that or not? You know, or do I just want to put tile in and be done with it? So then there's your education right there, and that would probably, as far as I'm concerned, like on the investor side, that would really make me feel good about whether I want to pull the trigger on this property or not, you know, because it'll tell me how much I'm going to probably have to spend.
Right.
And then what I usually do too is talk to the investor about them, because they usually know more about what's selling that area.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we can work backwards, you know, like, hey, I'm going to sell this house for $500,000-$600,000 because that's what all the other houses are selling in this neighborhood for.
Right.
Okay, so what's your cost point, you know?
Yeah.
Then
and I can attest, because Danny and I are working together, and all of Distinctive Builders, not only can they help with the general contractor thing, they also kind of go beyond their scope, and they can do a little bit of design too and things
Right.
like that. But when you, in my opinion, as a real estate broker, you definitely would rather work with a GC than trying to figure out how you're going to get all the subcontractors there yourself. It's much easier to do a point A to point B, have one person of accountability, one person that can break down your costs for you and everything else, and knows what they're doing. Trust me, if you want to talk about an S show,
yeah,
real quick, try managing subcontractors yourself and never have any experience in it. You don't want to go down that hole at all.
yeah, and I mean that's what a GC is. If somebody's having a hard time understanding, I mean we're the bridge between the owner, and it's actually a three-way bridge in a lot of ways. It's the owner, the architect, and then the subcontractors. So we're supposed to be, and I'm supposed to be versed in all of those languages. You know, I'm supposed to be able to talk to the owner, I'm supposed to be able to talk to the architect, I'm supposed to talk to the subcontractors. Yeah, from an investor's point of view, it is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It is a lot, and it takes a lot to do it on my side. I have to have a team, I have to have an office staff, I have to have a project manager, and that's what we're here for. That's what we get paid to do, is make sure that that project is running smoothly. The designer knows what he's talking about, or we catch things that may be a little bit more expensive than what the owner wants to spend, and then explain that and why that design idea that the architect may have is more expensive than what their budget dictates. And
Right.
so, I mean, yeah, that's what we specialize. That's what we're here to do, is just to communicate with all those parties involved and make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Perfect. Well, I hope that you enjoyed that. I got a lot of information out of it, and like I said, I hope you did too. Danny, if people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do it?
Well, they can reach me out by, I don't mind giving my phone number out. It's all over the place. It's 407-709-2981. My email is danny@letsbuildbetter.com. Letsbuildbetter.com. And those are the two best ways. Leave me a voicemail. I get a lot of calls. And I will definitely call you back, or I'll have somebody from my office give you a shout, and we'll get together.
Perfect, and that's Distinctive Builders of Florida. I'm also putting their link on my website, simplicityre.com, so you'll be able to link up with them as well. I'll have Danny's info on there also. We'll also put the podcast up there. You can find this podcast and other Simply Sassos Real Estate 101 podcasts on YouTube at Simplicity Real Estate, on the website simplicityre.com. We're also on SoundCloud, but you can check out my website to get there as well. That ends this episode. Danny, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you.
Awesome. And we will see you next episode. Thanks for listening.